Okay, we're back. We're going to be starting with this pattern here, and the technique is move the root shapes up one string, it gives us a magic fourth. Move the root shapes down one string, gives us a fifth. Have you ever noticed that when you're playing like an E shape? You go down, and you got like the fifth down there on those three strings. Well, that works. It works completely. And this is great. So, but what pattern do we play? We're going to start with the fourth of the bottom string of any pattern you're going to move up. The fourth of that string is the fourth string shape. So the 2, 3, 4 string shape, the fourth of that is the G string shape, because the fourth of D is G and it's the 6, 7 root string shape. Okay? So that goes down kind of. If you're up here in the D, 2, 3, 4, the fourth of that is the G string shape, which is 6, 7 root. Notice the G and the D do not share any notes. It's not a caged link between them. There's a letter missing between G and D. It's E, caged, C-A-G-E-D. So in fourths, we're just going to skip a letter and caged. So when we go in the fourth, the D goes to the G, skipping a letter and caged. But actually, it's caged backwards when we're going in fourths, okay? When we're going up. That's kind of weird. Here the D became a G. We simply replace the D by the fourth of the G, okay? So obviously, D going to G, we're skipping the E. We're going up a pentatonic scale at that point. But caged D and E and G, you know, it's caged backwards. So let's not get tripped up on it. I made this rule to make it simple, but the question is, where did this 6, 7 root come from? Look up here. Does anyone see a 6, 7 root? It's right here. So this is the interesting thing about it. So you move the pattern up, and now this 6, 7 root is like octave, and it comes back down to the bottom. You see, it was like octave there. It moved up. This came out of nowhere. The 6, 7 root, believe it or not, was something like, look, I have this, I have a nice cage ladder here. Okay, so we could get both of these guys. So the question is, where did 6, 7 root come from, without just remembering that it's a fourth? So move D up one, okay, and you're going to get a G shape underneath it. So here's a D, 2, 3, 4. All right, and the G shape is underneath it. You see how when we move the pattern up, we get the G shape coming in to replace it. The question was, where was G before that? Here's 2, 3, 4, and here's G up here. G was the fifth string. Okay, G was the fifth string. We look and zoom in again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. Okay, now that's not our G string. G is 6, 7 root. G should have been the fifth string there. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And over here, here's our D shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's G, 6, 7 root, going into E, 7 root 2. The fifth string over here, 7 root 2. See, it didn't even show the G string. Okay? But this is the pattern we're doing because we're using extra long patterns when we go into the extra long. So we're not going the short pattern from here. We're going in the extra long pattern. It's going to take us into the next cage. The next cage from D in the cage system starts C over again. That's why it's D on the bottom, C on the top, and I'll show you. We'll just look over here. D on the bottom here, C on the top. So the D pattern is going to play into C, but we're not going to play a double pattern like it's the violin. We're not going to go 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. That's a double string shape right there, D to C. You see how it's even per string it still works. We're going to play the long pattern, so we're going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then go into the next pattern up. Starts in E shape there, but it ends up C on top. Okay? Now, the C is the next cage up. Okay, so there's our C there. Coincidentally, the bottom string and the top string are the same, so we went up to the next string shape. That's what happened there. That's what happened. So we're going to just, and I'll tell you, when you move a shape up, don't worry about the notes. Just move the shape up and worry about which one are you going to put underneath if you move the cage up. You don't have to play the top string, but you got to put a string underneath it. That string is going to be the fourth of the string shape of the bottom. So if you're 2, 3, 4, the fourth of D is G string shape. So if you play this, you got to play 6, 7 root under here. 6, 7 root. So it'd be. Okay, so I can move a short pattern up like that. It gets a little tricky with D, but here's the D pattern. Now in pentatonic, why did I do it in pentatonic? Because we're not going to the key of the fourth. It would be like playing an Ionian twice. We're going to the pentatonic so we can stay in the same key. So this becomes and what goes underneath that D string is the fourth of D, which is the G string. Okay, like that. 6, 7. We don't have now that's the 6, 7 of the root. Okay, but actually it's the 2, 3 of the root. 6, 7 of the fourth. So we're not going to play the fourth of the fourth, are we? Something like that. We're not going to do that. So we move it up, and that gives us the D. So we start from the D shape, or rather to the G shape. So we're essentially doing something like this. We're starting from the D shape. We're going to a G shape F, D shape C, to an E shaped. To an A shaped G. All right. So now I got it wrong twice. It's going to go to a C-shaped D on the bottom, on the top there. Wow. Let me look at that. All right, it is a fifth is an A shape, but I got ahead of us. And that's in short patterns now. The thing is, when we start a long pattern, we're going to go to one cage up. Okay, so the one cage shape up from A is that C pattern. That's why we're going to end up in that C pattern. That C-shaped G there. It should be a C-shaped G. I don't know how we're going to get that. Anyway, maybe we haven't moved the pattern up. All right, I had a little chart error. That's a G there.